Welcome to this new video from the ASA Art 3D channel. We will see in this video how to create an outline around an object, widen the outline, create a wireframe of part of an object, change the color of the wireframe, create a dotted wireframe, and finally, make the wireframe appear while hiding the object. Freestyle is a rendering engine that will allow us to draw contours and lines based on the mesh of our objects. To activate it, simply activate it in the render properties and configure it in the view render properties. Let's start by creating the outline of a complex object composed of several meshes. To be able to show you the differences between the different options that we are going to cover, I have separated this pair of binoculars into 3 separate objects that I have placed in separate collections. Now we are going to activate Freestyle by checking the corresponding box in the Render Properties menu. Once it is done, let's activate the Freestyle checkbox in the View Layer Properties menu to display the available options. Now let's change the color to white in order to better appreciate the result. Let's start rendering. We see that by default all of our 3 objects have their outline drawn. We now know how to create an outline. Now let's see how to expand it. To change the thickness of the lines, all you have to do is select the thickness tab and modify the value. Now run a render and see the difference. It's time to see how to make a mesh in Wireframe. You will see it is not complicated. Just play around with the different types of edges. Let's start by selecting one of the 3 objects in Edit mode. In the Edge tab, let's select Mark Freestyle Edge. This indicates that we want the outline to occur on all edges of the mesh. Let's see the result at rendering. You will notice that only this object has a wire mesh. The other objects only have their drawn outline. Now let's just select a part of another object and mark that part only. After starting the render, we see that only the selected part has a wireframe outline. Maybe you want to highlight part of your object, so add some color to it. Let's start by renaming the line Z to make our life easier. Now let's activate the Collection tab and add the collection that contains the lens object. Only this object is now influenced by our settings. Let's add a new line set and rename it to the name of the second object. Now let's change the color. In Collection, select the collection corresponding to the selected object. By launching the rendering, we can see that the 2 objects are modified according to their respective line set. Now let's see how to transform the wireframe mesh into lines or dotted lines. In the dashed line table you can see D1, D2 and D3. These fields are used to determine the length of the following lines. You can for example alternate a long line, a point and a short line, or simply define a line with D1 only. Fields G1, G2 and G3 are used to define the spacing between the lines. Let's go back to our previous example and activate the dashed line checkbox. We can now modify the table below by setting up to 3 types of line length and 3 types of spacing. Let's try and see the result. We will now see how to create a blueprint. In fact, it is very simple. Just hide your item. Modify the settings as before. In this new example, we are going to mark each of the objects so that all the meshes are taken into account by Freestyle. Let's mark the first object. Let's do the same with the second object. And again with the third object. Now let's go to the properties of each object and deselect the rays coming directly from the camera. All you have to do is run the rendering to get a perfect blueprint. Thanks you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates. Other types of videos are available on my channel.